What was supposed to be a peaceful family lunch turned into a moment that changed one mother's life forever. In just a few minutes, a quiet restaurant became the center of a storm no one saw coming. Lena Harper had been looking forward to this trip for weeks. It was meant to be a short escape from daily stress, a chance to breathe, laugh, and enjoy time with her family. She and her husband, Daniel, had driven to a small mountain town called Pine Hollow in northern Georgia, bringing along their 3 children, a 4-year-old, a curious 2-year-old, and their youngest, a calm 4-month-old baby girl named Rosie. The air was cool, the trees were bright with autumn colors, and for once, everything felt slow and peaceful. On their second afternoon, they decided to eat at a local riverside restaurant known for its scenic views and cozy atmosphere. The place looked welcoming. Wooden floors, large windows, and a covered porch that overlooked the water. Lena felt hopeful. Moments like these felt rare lately, and she wanted to hold on to them. They were seated in a corner of the enclosed porch with a couple of close friends who were also visiting the area. The kids were surprisingly calm. Crayons came out, stickers were passed around, beads were carefully threaded onto strings. There was laughter, quiet conversations, and the soft sound of the river outside. For a while, everything was perfect. Then Rosie started to squirm. At first, it was just small sounds. A tiny cry, a wriggle in Daniel's arms. Lena knew the signs. Rosie was hungry. Daniel gently passed the baby to her, and Lena did what she had done countless times before. She brought Rosie close and began to feed her naturally, quietly, without making a scene. Daniel handed her a light blanket, which she loosely placed over her shoulder. Lena's chair was turned away from the rest of the room. She wasn't trying to draw attention. She just wanted to care for her baby. Within minutes, Rosie relaxed. Her tiny hands unclenched. Her breathing slowed. Soon she was asleep, resting peacefully against Lena's chest. Lena didn't move. She just held her, enjoying the calm moment. No one said anything. No staff member approached. No one seemed uncomfortable. At least, that's what Lena thought. After finishing their meal, Lena and her friend decided to take the kids outside to look at the river, while the husband stayed behind to settle the bill. Lena stood carefully, still holding Rosie, who was no longer feeding, just sleeping. As she turned towards the side exit, she accidentally bumped into a chair, or maybe a person. It happened so fast she wasn't even sure. She instinctively turned to apologize. That's when she saw him. A man stood inches away from her face. His posture was stiff, his expression sharp. She didn't know who he was at first, but the intensity in his eyes made her heart drop. "You can't do that here," he snapped loudly. "Go somewhere else." Lena froze. "I'm sorry?" she asked, confused and startled. Her voice stayed calm, but inside, panic was rising. "You heard me," the man said, raising his voice. "You're not allowed to do that here. This is my restaurant." It clicked. This wasn't just a staff member, this was the owner. Lena felt her chest tighten. Rosie stirred slightly in her arms. "I'm not feeding her right now," Lena explained carefully. "She's already finished. I'm just trying to leave through the side door." The man didn't seem to listen. He kept talking, louder now, repeating that it wasn't allowed, that he needed to protect his business. He stood directly in front of the exit, blocking her path. People nearby had gone quiet. Lena could feel eyes on her. Her 2 older children stood close, watching silently. Their faces showed confusion, fear. "Please," Lena said, trying to stay composed. "I just want to go outside." After a tense moment, the man stepped aside abruptly. "Fine, go," he said sharply. Lena didn't argue. She walked out as quickly as she could. her legs shaking, her heart pounding. The cool air outside hit her face, but it didn't calm her. She felt exposed, embarrassed, and shaken. Once outside, her friend looked at her, concerned. "What just happened?" she asked. That's when it hit Lena fully. She hadn't been asked to leave for noise or space or anything else. She had been pushed out because she fed her baby. Her hands trembled as she explained what had happened. Anger slowly replaced the shock. They decided to go back inside together to gather their belongings and tell their husbands what had happened. When they re-entered, Daniel looked up immediately. He could tell something was wrong. Before Lena could even speak, Daniel told her quietly that another employee had approached him while she was outside. The worker had apologized awkwardly, saying he was sorry for what had just happened. That apology made things feel heavier, not better. As they prepared to leave through the front entrance, Lena noticed the owner standing near the door. Her heart raced, but something inside her shifted. Fear turned into resolve. She walked up to him calmly. "I just want you to know," she said evenly, "that what happened back there wasn't okay. Breastfeeding is allowed by law in this state. If you want to protect your business, you should also follow the law." For a split second, there was silence. Then the man exploded. He raised his voice again, insisting he didn't have to allow it, claiming it wasn't his job to deal with parenting, and saying harsh things that made Lena's stomach twist. His tone was aggressive, dismissive, and unapologetic. Lena felt something break inside her, not loudly but firmly. She pulled out her phone and pressed record. Her hands were steady now. She didn't yell, she didn't insult him. She simply let the camera capture what was happening. Her children stood nearby, quiet, watching their mother stand her ground as a grown man shouted at her for feeding a baby. Inside, Lena was terrified, but she knew she couldn't let this moment disappear. They left soon after. The drive back was quiet. The kids asked questions she didn't know how to answer yet. Lena stared out the window, replaying everything in her mind. That night, after putting the kids to bed, Lena watched the video again. She hesitated. Posting it felt scary, but staying silent felt worse, so she shared it. She didn't do it for attention. She did it because she didn't want another mother to feel as small and powerless as she had felt in that doorway. The response was overwhelming. Messages poured in from parents, nurses, and strangers. Some shared support. Some shared similar stories. Others revealed how uncomfortable they still were with something so natural. Reading those comments opened Lena's eyes even more. She realized something important. Knowing your rights doesn't always mean knowing how to use them when fear takes over. In that moment, with her children watching and a stranger yelling, the law felt distant and unclear. What mattered most was keeping her kids safe. And that's why she shared the video, not to shame, but to educate, to spark empathy, to start a conversation that clearly still needs to happen. If this story is touching you right now, take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps more real stories like this get heard, and it truly makes a difference. This was only the beginning of Lena's journey. What happened after the video spread would surprise her and challenge more people than she ever expected. And as the night grew quiet, one thought stayed with her. If speaking up helps even one parent feel less alone, then the fear was worth it. Sometimes, the most uncomfortable moments become the ones that change us the most. The next morning, Lena woke up before her alarm. Her phone was already buzzing on the nightstand, lighting up the dark hotel room again and again. At first, she thought something bad had happened to one of the kids. Her heart jumped as she reached for it. But it wasn't family. It was notifications, hundreds of them, messages, comments, shares, mentions from people she had never met. The video had traveled far beyond her small circle overnight. Lena sat up slowly, trying not to wake the baby sleeping beside her. She scrolled in silence, her thumb shaking slightly. Strangers were calling her brave. Other mothers were thanking her. Some people shared their own painful stories, being asked to leave cafes, parks, even doctors' waiting rooms for feeding their babies. But mixed in with the support were darker voices. Comments questioning her intentions, accusations that she was looking for attention. People saying she should have stayed home, others claiming businesses had the right to decide what was appropriate. Each harsh word felt like a small cut. Daniel woke up and immediately knew something was wrong. "It's blowing up, isn't it?" he asked quietly. Lena nodded. "I didn't expect this," she whispered. "I just wanted people to understand." They spent the morning talking in low voices while the kids ate breakfast. Lena tried to stay present, smiling when her oldest told a silly story, but her mind kept drifting back to the restaurant, to the man's raised voice, to the door he blocked. By midday, local pages had picked up the story. Then regional ones. A few reporters reached out, asking for comments. Lena hesitated. The more attention it got, the more exposed she felt. "What if this affects the kids?" she asked Daniel. "What if someone recognizes us?" Daniel took her hand. "You didn't do anything wrong," he said firmly. "And you didn't choose this. It found you." Still, fear lingered. Later that afternoon, Lena received a message from a woman who said she lived near Pine Hollow. She apologized for what happened and said many locals were embarrassed by the restaurant owner's behavior. That message made Lena cry, not out of sadness, but relief. She wasn't alone. As the day went on, the restaurant's online reviews began to change. Some people left angry comments, others defended the owner. The town felt divided, even from afar. Lena never wanted that. She didn't want a mob, she wanted understanding. That night, she barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she replayed the moment she pressed record. She wondered if she could have handled it differently, if staying silent would have been easier. But then she remembered her children's faces and the way fear had flashed in their eyes. Silence suddenly felt heavier than noise. The next day, a legal advocate reached out to her privately. They explained that while breastfeeding was protected under state law, enforcement was unclear. There were no direct penalties for businesses that violated it. No clear steps for mothers in the moment. "That's the gap," the advocate said. "You fell into the space between knowing your rights and being able to use them." Those words stayed with Lena. She realized how many parents must face the same confusion every day. How many simply leave quietly, swallowing the humiliation because standing their ground feels too risky. The video kept spreading. With each interview request, Lena became more intentional. She refused sensational language. She spoke calmly. She repeated the same message. This wasn't about attacking a business. It was about empathy, education, and protecting families. Still, not everyone listened. One evening, Lena received an anonymous message telling her she was a bad example and that her children would be ashamed of her one day. She stared at the screen for a long time before deleting it. Her hands shook afterward. Daniel found her sitting quietly on the bed. "We can stop," he said gently. "You don't owe anyone anything." "I know," Lena replied. "But if I stop now, it feels like saying this behavior is okay." That night, she wrote a long post. not angry, not defensive. Honest, she explained what it felt like to be cornered while holding a baby, to calculate risk while protecting children, to wonder if law enforcement would help or make things worse. The response was immediate and powerful. Parents thanked her for putting words to feelings they'd never been able to express. Even a few business owners reached out, admitting they'd never thought deeply about breastfeeding policies before. Something was shifting. Days later, Lena learned that the restaurant owner had doubled down privately, insisting he was right. No apology, no reflection. Hearing that stung, but it also clarified something for her. This was bigger than one man. It was about culture, about discomfort, about how quickly society polices mothers' bodies while claiming to support families. The kids sensed the tension, even if they didn't understand it fully. Lena's 4-year-old asked one night, "Mommy, why was that man mad at you?" Lena paused, then answered softly, "Because sometimes people don't understand things they haven't experienced." "Did you do something bad?" the child asked. "No," Lena said firmly. "I took care of you, and that's never bad." That moment alone made everything worth it. As the attention slowly stabilized, Lena felt exhausted, but also clearer. She wasn't chasing viral moments. She was standing in her truth. And even though the experience had shaken her, it had also strengthened her in ways she never expected. She knew there would always be disagreement, always criticism. But she also knew this: fear shrinks when shared. And somewhere out there, another mother was watching, learning, and maybe feeling just a little less alone. What Lena didn't know yet was that the story wasn't finished. A new twist was coming, one that would test her resolve even more and force her to make a difficult decision she never planned for. And that choice would change how she saw her voice forever. Lena thought the storm was finally calming down. The messages slowed, interviews became less frequent, and for the first time in days, her phone stayed quiet for hours at a time. She hoped that meant life could return to normal. She was wrong. One afternoon, while folding laundry and watching her baby nap, an email arrived that made her heart race again. It was from a national parenting organization. They had seen her video, they had read her words, and they wanted her to speak publicly. Lena stared at the screen for a long time. She wasn't an activist. She wasn't a lawyer. She was just a mother who had tried to feed her baby in peace. Her first instinct was to say no, but that familiar feeling returned, the memory of the blocked doorway, the raised voice, her children standing behind her, and with it came a quiet question she couldn't ignore. If not me, then who? She agreed with one condition. She didn't want blame or anger. She wanted clarity. She wanted empathy. The online event was held a week later. Lena sat in front of her laptop, hands clasped tightly together. Thousands of people were watching. Her voice shook at first, but as she spoke, something steady took over. She told the story again, not dramatically, but honestly. She talked about fear, about confusion, about how laws on paper don't always protect people in real life, and about how quickly a simple moment can turn into trauma when power is misused. When she finished, the chat filled with messages. "I never thought about it this way. I own a cafe and I'm changing our policy today. I wish someone had said this when I was a new mum." Lena closed her laptop and cried, not from stress this time, but from release. In the weeks that followed, something unexpected happened. Local law enforcement agencies reached out to advocacy groups to clarify guidelines. Some businesses updated their training. Parenting forums pinned resources explaining breastfeeding rights in simple language. None of it erased what happened at that restaurant, but it transformed it. One evening, while tucking her kids into bed, her oldest hugged her tightly. "Mommy," the child said, "you weren't scared anymore, were you?" Lena smiled softly. "I was scared," she admitted, "but I spoke anyway." "That's brave," the child whispered. Those 2 words stayed with her. Months later, Lena returned to Pine Hollow, this time alone. She walked by the river, stood outside the same restaurant, and felt no anger, just clarity. That place no longer held power over her. She had reclaimed the story. She knew now that courage doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it looks like a shaking hand pressing record. Sometimes it looks like choosing calm over rage. Sometimes it looks like telling the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. And most importantly, she learned that empathy doesn't grow in silence. It grows when someone is willing to say, "This hurt me and it shouldn't happen again." If this story moved you, taught you something, or made you see the world differently, take a moment to like this video. Your support helps these real-life stories reach more people who need to hear them. In the end, Lena never wanted to be known. She wanted to be understood. And through one painful moment, she helped open a door, so the next parent wouldn't have to stand alone in front of a closed one. Sometimes, the smallest acts of care create the biggest changes.